These brakes used to be my enemy. If you've seen a couple of videos on my channel, you know I had the huge problem with the squeaking. These brakes were basically loud as hell. Anytime I go to work, anytime I get in my car, whether it be hot, cold, snow, sleet, anything, they'd be squealing like crazy. It would be the front brakes, also the rear brakes, but not as much. But after many trials and tribulations, I come up with a fix. Let's see if I can find this paperwork. I tried just about everything. So I tried, what did I do? Alright, so I tried greasing the brakes. The part on the back of the brakes where basically your brake pads are housed, people recommend to put grease on there and then to stick them back in. That way there will be less vibration, and so that's supposed to be a fix. That didn't work for me. Wasted my time and money buying brake squeal. Brake grease. Then I replaced the brakes. I got brake pads that were supposed to be ceramic, that were so-called quiet, and that didn't make any difference, or maybe like a 5% difference. But then eventually what ended up working, and let's see if I can find it in here, all this junk, keep all my service records. One thing, look at that, 3 years of BMW service records. But I mean, it's all maintenance routine. I mean, service record. Luckily, this car has been really good to me, aside from the brakes. But yeah, let's see, alright. So, I found the paperwork. So, you can see here, this was the first time I brought my car in. So you can see it says, customer states, brakes are making excessive noise, happens after car's been sitting overnight and after sitting all day. So they serviced the front brakes, replaced the brake pads, blah blah blah. Confirmed customer concern, inspected front brake system and found the rotors warped with a lip. Left front and the right front were both equally at 29. Rotors cannot be resurfaced due to timing, minimum thickness, front brake system, blah blah. Replaced front brake pads and rotors. Applied brake grease in required areas, tightened caliper bolts and wheels to spec. And so that did it. I had to go back because apparently customer states that the brake pads warning is on for front and rear brakes. Replace rear brake pad sensor, so then the brake pad sensor had to be replaced. But that was a small thing. But yeah, so this is what did it here. If you have an issue with your service advisor for BMW, if you're in the US, that's how it works. Usually you have a guy you go to for service. Just, tell them that, hey, replacing the rotors, not just the brake pads. Some service advisors might tell you that the brake pads are the only thing that need to be replaced. But I want to give a shout out to, BMW, Sarah NFL, and Jeff Archuri, who did this work on my car. And, a lot of people were saying at the dealership at first that, like, oh, it's just, it's normal. Those are like sports brakes. They're gonna make a lot of noise. But I've been in sports cars, and like I had an M4, and I've been in other cars that had carbon ceramic brakes. Like, the brakes are not supposed to be this loud. That's just not how, it's just not normal. Nobody is supposed to hear you around the whole freaking town when you step on the brakes. I mean, it was so bad that I wasn't even using the regular brakes anymore. I was using the emergency brake. But replacing the rotors, it really seemed like the rotors. And then I had the quiet brake pads at that time, but when they did the service change, they ended up throwing the quiet brake pads, because that's, the whole marketing spiel. But I'm still good now, even without the quiet brake pads. I just have the regular BMW brake pads. And this was November of 2018, and it's now, I think it's gonna be December 1st in a couple days. So it's been a year of squeak free, and I'm so happy. I mean, these brakes used to be my #1 enemy, and now they're just my best friend. I can, go back to driving around like a normal person without waking up the whole neighborhood anytime I get in my car. So yeah, so hopefully this helps you out. I know a lot of people in my last video left a lot of comments about, you know, like their car having their problem, not only BMWs. I think some people had Audis, and I want to say Volvos that had the same problem. So hopefully, you know, switching out the rotors, and you know, I was lucky to be under the BMW service plan where brakes are covered, oil change are covered, windshield wipers are covered, so like I get all that stuff replaced for free. But you know, I mean, I'm sure if you have a car that's making those squealing noise, you just go ahead and just switch out the rotors, whatever it costs. If it costs you $400, $300, switch out the rotors and the pads. Trust me, it'll be well worth your money. So yeah, so glad to have that behind me. I'm still having a lot of issues with tire pressure. One of my tires keeps losing air. I got that fixed a short while ago. So the way the tires are built, there's like some thread in the inner ring of the rubber, and the way this tire guy explained it to me is that sometimes air can get in and out of the tire because Michelin basically doesn't trim the edge of the tire. So I had this guy basically trim the edges of my tire, and so it's been a lot better since then, because I was having like terrible problems with my tires just basically running flat. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have probably seen a lot of videos of my car on tow trucks, and that's basically because of that, because the darn tires were flat. But yeah, fix those brakes. If your brakes are squeaking, just stop whatever you're doing. Harass your service advisor if you have to. What I ended up doing is that I remember I brought the car in one day, and then they only switched out the brake pads, and then they were like, oh, it's only going to be like that for the first 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, sure. 2 weeks was the same thing. Like 3 weeks was the same thing. And so then after 2 weeks, I went back and I was like, hey, you told me 2 weeks, still squealing in 2 weeks. And then that's when they caved in and they fixed it. So yeah, just try to, you know, work with them. And like I said, hopefully you have a service plan, so you know, because I paid $0 for the rotors and the brake pads. But yeah, let me know if that works for you. If you have any other fix for fixing, you know, really noisy brakes, you know, whether it be brake grease or quiet pads or whatever, let me know in the comments. Help others out. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.